Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be looking at Ethereum. So we've just been hanging about here towards the top end of this move. So we're going to discuss a couple of things that can be playing out here. By all means, we are possibly within a bigger structure here where this could become a 1-2, 1-2. This is still viable for as long as we remain above the 1611. And I'm still looking out for this possibility. But the way that this move needs to play out from this point forward is we need to start to see some nice strong impulsive structure here developing up towards this zone here of this 2092 to confirm this. Looking at this as a 1-2. It is possible within here we're setting up for another 1-2 of this third wave here, and then we could actually be looking to get going. So these are still possibilities. We do have, however, a very choppy corrective looking move here. So we need to just be cautious. This could be just a bigger complex move that's still playing out. So we have our key support zone, which we did start to move away from once we came into towards the 1695 to the 1688. And because of that fact, we're looking for this potential to potentially play up, and to actually look to have a bigger move up here towards this 2092. Though we do have some key zones, we need to get back above these highs. For as long as we stay below this 1857, we need to be a little bit cautious because there are a few ways of counting this move. So we're going to go over a couple of them. Um, Basically, we're going to go over the bullish one first, and this is what I'm looking for if we want to argue that we are looking for that continuation to the upside for that third wave. What we'd want to see is something like this play out. So we did actually come back down into this fourth wave area. We're talking about this potentially being a diagonal. Here's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third. And then now we got a little bit of a tricky situation here because, potentially we can argue that within this structure, this could be a fourth and this could be a fifth because we actually did take this third wave high. The alternative to this is that we look at this as an A, a B, and a C to the downside, in which case this would make this a fourth wave location. So if this is the case, what we'd be still looking for is that potential to have another leg to the upside here. And what we'd be looking for potentially would be a move up into this zone here of this area, this 1842. So this is viable for as long as we hold this 50% area at the 1767. There is always the possibility that there's further extension within here where this is actually 1-2 and a bigger 1-2 here, but that would have to move up substantially higher to confirm. If we were going to argue that point, we'd have to say that we're going to have to see a move up directly above this 1968, and we wouldn't cross this 1767 again. So these things are all possible, but within the chart, it's just not showing us that information yet. So we've got to just be a little bit cautious within that. So if this is a fourth wave, like I said, potentially we could see a move up to this fifth wave location up here towards this 1867 to this 1842. However, if this has rather completed into this high here, we could potentially be starting an ABC pattern to the downside where actually we have a five wave move completed here and this is becoming an a B, and then potentially we're going to get a C wave to the downside. So looking at this move potentially coming back into this green support zone that we have here, I actually need to move this down slightly. So if we have completed here, basically what I'm looking for is a move down between the 1757 to the 1716. Breaking down beyond the 1716 would basically make this count less likely at that point. And we can see here that if we did have to break down from this point, 1-1 would actually take us towards the 1750, which would bring us back into the support zone here. So this could be a key area to watch if we do actually look to break down. If we do push down deeper, potentially if we do come down towards the 786, which would be the 1716 range, that could actually tie in with testing out these lower ranges here. So the 0.618 is here at the 1740. So we're going to have to see whether we get a reaction if we do start to move down here. However, like I said, it is still possible we can potentially count this as a flat correction in here. I wouldn't want it to, as a corrective structure, I wouldn't want it to be any bigger than it is. It's already sort of pushing the limits of that structure as it is. So what we'd want to see is a direct move to the upside here if this is the case, and potentially looking to move up, like I said, towards this 1867 to this 1842 if we still have that fifth wave to come. So another way we can look for target is potentially we have actually come already up to the 0.382. So that is something worth noting, that if we're looking at this as a fourth wave here, we actually got perfect rejection of that 0.382 of this wave 1 to 3. So, we have to just be mindful this could actually be a fifth wave completed here. However, if it's not, what I would be looking for as a target potentially still for this low here at this 1765 would actually be potentially up here into this zone of this 1856. So this would be a 0.618 of this 1 to 3 put projected off of this fourth wave. So this is another way we can look for a target. So basically within this box area here, this is also potentially would tie in with coming back up and testing this high here. So this could be quite an interesting little area if we do look to push up into the zone. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on if we do maintain the 1767. If we do not maintain it and we rather break down one more time here, potentially we could see a move down towards this 50% line, which would be the 1757 area, or slightly lower towards this 1 to 1. So this is given the current structure here. We don't really have a lot to go off of here. By all means, this could be developing into something here. But we just don't have much structure here. What we'd want to see is basically this move be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we push up into these zones here. And basically from there, we'd have to just map the waves that are playing out from there. It is possible, like I said, this it could even be, another 1 and a 2 in here. We just don't have that information currently. So the thing that we need to be cautious of here is if this is a completed move into this high. We were talking about this yesterday. There's a couple of ways we can look at this in a more bearish way, where actually we look at this as a W to here, this potentially as a flat for an X wave, and then we could actually see a move to the downside, looking towards rather this zone here. So I need to adjust this target slightly because we did come up higher here. So a move down to this 1 to 1 as a bigger complex W, X, and Y pattern would actually bring us down here to the 1687. So if we do get a three-wave move to the downside here, so for instance, if we do complete this ABC here, get a three-wave move up, have another three-wave move to the downside, this could potentially complete this as a WXY into this low here. So this would actually be retesting these lows. So the key thing here is basically what we want to see is if this does take place, we want to see this as a 1, 2, and then we want to see that progression of that third. We want to get back above some of these key highs, and we want to see good volume and good five-wave structure playing out, looking for that upside potential. The target for that third wave would be much the same as what we are currently looking for, would be up towards this zone of this 2092. So really it needs to get going. If it just hangs around too much, then it becomes less likely that it's going to be a third wave to the upside. So this is something we just need to keep an eye on. Obviously, there are multiple different possibilities here. The other thing we talked about was rather counting this move slightly different, where we actually look at this as a B wave, as a flat correction. We have come up towards that zone. It isn't quite as high as I was anticipating. So that's why I'm not ruling out the idea that, potentially we could see another leg to the upside here. So as a flat correction, the typical zone we're looking for is between this 1841 and this 1893. It technically speaking it hasn't come up quite to that 1 to 1 of that A wave, but it is still viable as a flat here. It would be a very strange one. But yeah, still nonetheless we need to be aware that if we develop a five-wave move down here, potentially we could be looking to find support down here towards the 1698 to the 1622 range. That would be a typical area if we are looking at at this as a flat correction. But potentially this 1 to 1 up to this 1.618 are all viable targets. The 0.786 would be the 1657. So basically, we don't really want to lose this if we're looking at this 1 2 1 2. This is basically another 1 2 here. This zone here is going to be quite key. If we start to break down below that, then it's probably more likely that actually, this whole move has completed here, and this is either becoming a bigger wave 2, looking to push down to this lower green box area, the 1643 to this 1458 area, and then look to progress to the upside. So that is the bullish standpoint here. We have talked about previously as well, this could be a fifth wave high here, in which case we will be looking for that possibility of coming down actually much deeper towards a zone of this 1406 to this 1206 range. So need to keep an eye on it. These are all possibilities that we could actually see, that deeper move back down into these zones, and then we could actually see that you know, have a bigger three-wave structure to the downside here, looking for this as a completed move into these highs, looking for that bigger correction in a three-wave move down into these lows, and then looking potentially for that possibility of progression. Though, we also talked about previously, we need to be cautious. This could actually look to complete a B wave to the upside here, and we could actually still see continuation to the downside, either in a fifth wave or a C wave. So basically, the target zone for this is down here towards this zone of this 724 to this 526 range. Basically, if we do break down, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this area, looking at this potentially as a fourth wave, and then looking for a fifth. Alternatively, the C wave target is even lower towards this $400 area, depending on which way we want to count this move from the top. So this is something we need to just bear in mind. We do have that possibility to break down. It is also possible. I'm just going to turn all of this off now. Um, we have talked about this previously. I don't really like this structure in it, but there is always that potential that within here, you could argue that we have something like this playing out as a bigger triangle, where this becomes A, B, C. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, B, C, and then we get a three-wave move down, a three-wave move up, and then we get a breakdown. The thing is, we wouldn't have confirmation with this, and technically speaking, this D wave might not find support at this trend line. It might look to find support somewhere else, lower down here if that does play out. So we're gonna have to just keep an eye on it. This is very choppy in this area. It is also possible, we could argue that this is, potentially looking to start as a diagonal 1, 2, looking for another 1, 2, and then we're looking for a bigger structure here. But it's just we have to take this level by level and see how the moves actually play out. Otherwise, we're just guessing at this point. So I'm just gonna take that off and come back into this move that we're looking at. Okay, so the other thing we need to be cautious of here is I have talked about this in the previous video, but I'm just going to bring it up again. The fact that we could still see a breakdown off this high here, where we have a bigger structure forming to the downside. It is becoming less likely, but we haven't actually invalidated it. So for as long as we have this five-wave move here, I am being cautious that we could also potentially look at this as a flat correction. And we did come up exactly to this 1831 area. So we need to just be aware, this could see a five-wave move to the downside. If that five-wave move moves down towards this 1618 area, potentially we could be setting up for a bigger five-wave structure here. And then we would have to argue that this is A, B, and then potentially a five-wave move for a C wave as a flat. Or alternatively, we complete into this high, and this is starting a bigger move to the downside. So this is what we need to be cautious of, really, until we break back above this 1857. I've got this in the back of my mind, just keeping an eye on it. If we start to break down more impulsively, like I said before, this is going to be our target, this 1626. If it is a third wave, that would be looking for this to do something like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down into these lows, potentially looking for a fourth back up into some of these zones, and then looking for a continuation down in that fifth wave. So this is something we need to just be aware of. It is here. This move up here can be counted in so many different ways. This is why we just need to be cautious. We have been rejected at that 0.854. With now, if we do actually look to break back up here and potentially come back and take this high, this would invalidate this possibility from this point. And we would be looking at probably one of those other options, either as potentially a bigger flat correction, or alternatively, here we could have a low in place, and this is now starting to form, this bigger structure. But really, what I want to see here, I want to see a little bit more of a retracement. and then look for that potential to continue up. And if it's a third wave, it should be nice and strong. Should be it should really get going. If not, then it's probably not that third wave. Okay, so I mean, basically, this are the things that we're looking for. The key zones, I'm just going to go over them again so everyone knows what they are. Um, Basically, for as long as we hold this top box area, we can still look for this potential of this being a 1 and a 2. If we start to lose 1657, it becomes less likely, and then I would be expecting this low to break. Now, the key thing is here, obviously, if this is a bigger corrective structure up here, coming down past this low would actually fall into the support zone. And potentially we could look to find support at this 50%, which would be a retest of these highs here. Or alternatively, even retesting this low and just slightly breaking it could actually be enough for this to be a completed correction here. So we need to be cautious with this. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to see how we react at these levels. If it does break down, if it just continues up here, then basically would be more confirmation that we have this as a 1 and a 2 here, and that we're starting to move away from this area. But yeah, I mean, either way, I would still anticipate a bit more of a drop here, potentially back down into some of these key levels, and then look for that push up. But yeah, sometimes the market will just extend out and not actually come down as deep as that. So we need to just keep an eye on it. But basically, this is our secondary support zone from this really from this 1587. I do have the 0.382 up here just because of the fact that if this is a flat or a more complex correction, typically we can find support between this 1643 to this 1587. But yeah, once we start to break down past those zones, really what I'd be looking for is potentially this golden pocket here at this 1532 to this 1518. Lowest we'd really want to come is this 786 here at this 1584. But even if we do break this low down here towards this 1368, which would invalidate those possibilities of this being, extending to the outside here, basically, we still have to be cautious that as long as we're actually within the zone of this 1406 to this 1206, we could see a turnaround from that point. Really, invalidation of that bullish potential comes by breaking down below this 1074, and if we do that, I would be looking for these lower prices to potentially come in here. So there's a couple of ways we can look at this. We'd have to start to monitor those counts to the downside once we get it for more clarity of how exactly it's going to play out. But really, these are not unrealistic figures once we start to break this 1073 level. Obviously, we would have potentially some support here towards this low of this 883, but once we start to break down past that, it becomes more likely we're going to be setting a new low here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Check it out, it's free to join. As well as that, there are affiliate links for Primex, BT, and BYBIT down below. Both great exchanges we use on a regular basis when we're doing our trades. Talking about trades, we've been having some absolute smashes recently. Why not come down to the Discord and check it out? Everyone, have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.